Documenting what is going on in the classroom is key to the Reggio Emilia approach to teaching and learning. The purpose of Reggio Emilia style documentation is to make the children's learning processes more visible, not only to teachers, families, and others who want to understand and assess what's been happening, but also to the children themselves. By making their own learning processes visible to the students, documentation helps them learn how to learn and how to express their knowledge, ideas, and questions. By making it visible to teachers, documentation leads to insights about what's happening in the children's minds, promoting the development of projects, provocations, and classroom environments that are responsive to their current needs. Documentation can also be organized, notated, and shared with parents, administrators, colleagues, even the general public, making visible to those outside the classroom the depth and breadth of learning and development that's been happening and the course it's been taking. This is substantially different from the approach taken by most schools, where documentation is summative, focused on evaluating and reporting learning after it happens, with the goal of measuring the student's development in terms of standardized objectives. It separates children from their peers, encouraging competition rather than cooperation. Reggio Emilia style documentation is more formative, focused on creating insights into the children's understandings and development while the learning is happening, with the goal of supporting their development. It pays attention both to individual learning and to group context and dynamics, encouraging cooperation among the students. Reggio Emilia style documentation begins when teachers, students, and others make records of what the class says and does. These might be photographs, for example, or video or audio recordings, or written notes, diagrams, or lists, or the students' work and creations. The records might focus on individuals or groups. They might capture the beliefs, ideas, questions, or confusions of students or teachers, or the development of a project or a creation, or areas or processes in the classroom that might benefit from closer attention. But creating records is just the beginning. Organizing, discussing, and reflecting deeply about what the documentation reveals about the teaching and the classroom environment, as well as about student learning, are crucial steps. Finally, sharing the records and the reflections with the children themselves, with families, other educators, and even the general public, makes visible what's been happening in the classroom, including developments that weren't obvious in the moment. Reggio Emilia style documentation is not taught or practiced in mainstream pedagogies. So at first, the process may feel like an extra activity that takes extra time, but the eventual goal is for it to become an intrinsic part of the teaching process, which provides so much engagement for the students and families and useful ideas and insights for teachers and administrators that it makes all of the aspects of the teaching process easier and more enjoyable. This does take time and practice. The schools in Reggio Emilia in Italy have multiple teachers in each classroom, creating a core group of people who can demonstrate and share documentation processes with each other. If you're in different circumstances and would like some concrete ideas on how to begin practicing this type of documentation, you may want to begin with the teacher activities in this series that focus on practicing documentation. It may also help to spend some time considering your answers to the following questions. What kinds of learning and development should schools care about and document? What processes, progress, and developments in your classroom are not captured by standard assessments? What can children learn from being more aware of the changes over time in their own thoughts and abilities? What can children learn from being more aware of the thoughts and learning processes of their classmates? What can teachers learn from revisiting and reflecting on development in their classrooms over time? What would families appreciate or benefit from knowing about what happens in school that they sometimes don't hear about? What would schooling look like if it focused on formative, holistic assessment rather than standardized and competitive testing and grading? How can time and space be found for children and adults to make sense of their experiences? Taking time to document and reflect on what's happening in the classroom powers a positive cycle of learning and growth for everyone involved.